Hello, all you lovely people, and welcome to another enhanced edition where I did the thing. The other thing. No, the other thing. The other thing. Okay, I know, I talk about doing the thing all the time, but this thing in particular is customizing Cyberverse Clobber. Now, I liked Clobber's toy to begin with, thought she was fun, but there were definitely some things that needed some paint. And for the longest time I was figuring, what's the point? Because it's a simpler toy. Looking at reference photos, it's kind of like, she doesn't have a neck, so I can't do certain things, and there are certain details that are just not quite right, and so on and so forth. But then, since I've been spending a lot of time at home, I was kind of like, okay, well, I've got time, I've been working on a lot of customs, what the heck, let's do this. And I did it, and I am so happy I did. Now, in vehicle mode, there's really nothing to talk about, because I didn't do much that's really noticeable in vehicle mode. There's a little bit, like, up here and along the back here, like here and here. But really, it's the robot mode that matters, so I'm just going to skip over this real quick. I will say, though, I tried to find some sort of reference photos of her vehicle mode so that I could see if there are any more details I could add, but I could not find anything. Like, I tried, and there was just nothing. I don't know if it's that I don't know if she never showed her vehicle mode in the show, or if nobody has a screen grab of it or whatever, but I just could not find an actual image of her alt mode to use as a reference. So there's probably some stuff I got wrong here or left alone that I shouldn't have, but I legitimately could not find anything. I did, however, add a little bit of paint to the cannon, and we'll see this more in robot mode, but I added some black just around some of the details to kind of make it pop a little bit more. Again, I don't know how accurate that is, but I couldn't find any images of this. Just kind of felt it out with this one. But yeah, that's pretty much it for her nothing vehicle mode, so let's move on to the robot mode. Alright, now we've got some stuff to talk about. So, there's a lot of stuff that I added to the legs, a little bit that I added to the shoulders, and then a decent amount of stuff that I added to the midsection. Before I get into the paint, I will also mention that I did that other thing, the other thing I was talking about with Clobber in the original figure study video, which is the limitations on the ball sockets for the shoulders and hips. I went in and carved those down with an X-Acto knife, tried using a Dremel, and that led to some unfortunate scarring. Fortunately, it's not super duper obvious from a distance, but you can see where the Dremel kicked while I was trying to Dremel out one of the bits, and it just kind of, zoop up along her thigh, so that's not cool. But I will consider it battle damage. But anyway, I did carve out those sockets that I was talking about, and as you can see, the limbs stay attached just fine, and it adds a lot more rotation to the thighs. It doesn't really add much to the rotation up here. It does add some, but she also has the bicep swivel, so it's not as important in the shoulders. But I feel like in the thighs, that makes a very big difference. Still not as good as having an actual thigh swivel, but it's an improvement. As for the coloration, I did not have a gray that matched this kind of brownish gray that she has, but I feel like for what it is, it works okay. It is predominantly just in the legs here, so it does seem a little bit weirdly separated out, but then the gray on the fins here, I feel, at least when the light hits it, it shines a bit and kind of very vaguely matches that tone, so I'm doing the best I can with what I got, But I do think it looks good. I like having that gray detail added. I also added some black in the legs here, on the shins, on the sides here, and tried to go around these purple bits here, and then on the insides of the legs there as well. And you can see also the gray on the feet and up in the thighs there. Because I really wanted to be careful with paint scraping, there is some that happen just because it dried with her in robot mode, so you can see that when you push the feet down, that's totally come off. But I tried to be careful about scrapage going this way, and you can see that it's actually doing pretty good, surprisingly. I'm really happy with myself for that. The reason that is because I went in and carved the inside of the feet, or the ankle bits, the purple bits here. I kind of carved those down a little bit, leaving these bits on the ends as they are, because those are what are needed to catch the feet and keep them from, flipping back up. But I carved some stuff down in there to try and prevent scratching, to kind of give this foot a little bit more room to come out, because I had to put several layers of gray paint on the feet, and so that will add several micrometers or whatever you want to call it to the clearances in there. For the hips, same deal. I went in and tried to carve away some of the plastic up here so that the legs could swing forward and back without rubbing. Unfortunately, there is still some, so I'll probably have to go in and touch that up and possibly carve down the hip area up here a little bit more, but it's fine. And like when she's just standing there, it's not a problem. And you know, as long as I keep in mind that that's a restriction, if I just kind of move the leg in so that this bit that sticks up is kind of going further in and then rotate, then it's not a problem. I added some black to the midsection here. Originally it was just this bit down the middle, but it's supposed to be the full thing, so I did that. I tried to do purple along here, could not find a close enough match, and I'm terrible at mixing colors, and this is actually, I use Testors Enamel paints for all of my customs, but this right here and the top of the head, which we'll get to in a bit, was done with acrylic paints, which I'm not really used to, so I did what I could. Unfortunately, it's a little too dark, but having it there and on the head in a few places, I feel like at least makes it not look terribly out of place. But again, I'm working with what I got. It's the best I could do. And then I did the tops of the shoulders in black, going all the way around to the back here, again, for show accuracy. And I like how that breaks up the shoulders a little bit. Not as necessary as what's going on in the legs. I feel like those are the things that you really notice, but still, every little bit helps. And lastly, the head. I did quite a bit to that portion of the figure. It's hard to tell, but I did actually paint her neck, because her neck is a separate thing on this panel here. So I went in carefully and painted that black, and that just kind of separates her head from the rest of her torso a little better, which I really like. I painted her lips, as is, you know, according to the animation model, and I definitely think that helps. Did the black for her, I guess that's an eyebrow, eyelid, I don't know. Purple for the top of the head, again, not a perfect match, but it's what I could do. Added some more black detail up there, and then painted the little lights on the side of her head pink. I was going to add the other lights that are shown in the animation model, but I kind of realized I didn't do any of that stuff, like the little trails of lights and stuff that are in any of the other figures, so I thought it'd be a little weird to do it for just this one. And then I painted the bar behind her head black, and this is surprisingly, I think, the biggest difference out of everything that I've done on this figure. Having this not be just like solid gray on top of solid gray and solid gray and solid gray, it makes such a difference. And yeah, that bar is still totally there and it still kind of reads as a bar, but because it's black and not gray or purple or anything like that, it really helps to have that head stand out as a head, even though it doesn't functionally do anything. It's pretty much as static as the rest of her torso, but it helps separate it out so well. And in case anyone's wondering, the gimmick does still work. It still flops forward, still does its thing. It doesn't really clash into anything or affect anything. I do have concerns about letting it flip out violently like that with it. If I do it too much, it might scratch the paint down here or scratch the paint up here. But, you know, just having it come down is fine. Of course now, whereas originally I liked having the armor out because I thought it looked cool and I liked that splash of green, now I prefer to have the armor tucked in because there's just a lot of really nice detail that has been painted now that you just don't see with the armor in place. So we're gonna tuck that. We're gonna tuck that back in there. And that is it for Clobber, but we do still have her gun. And as I said, all I did was go around with some black paint and add some black to a few areas here and there just to separate it out a little bit more, because originally it was just this gray, this purple, and then the pink in the front there. Could not find any reference photos of the gun, could not find any reference photos of the alt mode, so I don't know how accurate any of this is, but I like there being a little bit more detail in the gun. It just helps it look a little bit more fleshed out, for lack of a better term. And yeah, that is it. That is everything I did with Cyberverse Clobber in probably too much detail. This was a process. There's definitely some things that I wish I had done a little bit better, some things that I probably should have been more patient with, but I still think this looks like... I really liked Cyberverse Clobber before as just a fun toy, but like this is cool. I really like how she looks with a little bit more show accurate detailing. I definitely could have gotten it a little bit more show accurate in places, and there are some things that I did not paint, like the little half-cylinder joint details in the knees. I just kind of left those alone because it felt like that was unnecessary. But I'm just really into this. I said previously that my animated RC custom is my favorite, and I still stand by that. But Clobber is, I want to say, probably my second favorite Cyberverse custom. And don't worry, we'll be getting to the first very soon. But anyway, that is going to do it. Feel free to let me know what you all think of this. As always, you can chime in down below, and I always enjoy hearing from you all. And please, stay fabulous.